For our last game of the day, we have Indians against Mongols. Cilantro Ranger going with Indians. Gunslinger going with Mongols. And before we begin, I'm just going to adjust the game sound here. All right. And we have in the green Cilantro Ranger playing in the south of the map once again as the Indians. Just checking out his Fog of War real quick. Does go with that traditional build of 2 houses and directly onto sheep. You do in Serengeti, I just kind of want to say, you still do start with your starting sheep. Still 8 sheep. The difference with this is you still have your berry patch is instead of boars, you're going to have a rhino and an elephant. And instead of deer, you're going to have these patches of, these are ostrich on this map. And I believe sometimes there are zebra as well. But I'm looking around this map, maybe I spoke incorrectly, and I do not see the rhino around the map here, but I do see the elephant. I'm just going to go back and check our build right here for Cilantro Ranger. Still just only see the elephant right here. And look at it, once again, we have Red going in with his own structure of houses. His symmetrical structure. Knowing that he always builds his houses just kind of like this, just kind of impresses me with his dedication to structure and style. Right now we have green. And green is on to 8 villagers, is on 8 villagers all on food. Just kind of wondering what green will transition into. And look, it's a quick mining camp for our red player here. Mining camp is not something we saw previously. Still lots of goats under the TC. Has transitioned onto 2 on gold, 3 on food, and 2 on wood. If I would say something, maybe this, unless this is some sort of man-at-arms play or militia play, maybe just too early on gold. Just really concerned how red is going to continue to have the food to be able to produce villagers, as red is down to 10 food currently. Lumber camp being built on the side for red.
Bad.
It's an 8-8 with villagers currently. Both TCs are idle. And this game looks like pretty even at the moment. Our Mongol player, it looks like, is just waiting to have enough food just to produce another villager. And will they click up? And there's the next villager being produced for red. Green, however, does have a vill advantage, is up 1 vill, does have food but is not producing, over 300 food, is not producing more villagers. This strategy seems to be interesting for green. Red with an idle TC, and just kind of want to check out the strategy choice for green, as green still has 9 villagers. Neither one of them are producing villagers. There are idle TCs everywhere in this matchup. Scout active for red as usual. Looks like auto scouting around. Green scout is not active. Now this game, I guess we just want to see, will we see forward outposts once again from our green player? Forward outposts and outposts all over the map seem to be the ideal strategy for our player. Another villager being produced. Idle TC for red still. However, they are dead even in villagers. And green will take a 1 vill advantage, as green was producing villagers and still is producing villagers now. Green will probably have a 2 or 3 villager advantage soon at some point. Red does have enough food to start pumping out more villagers, and there goes the queue down as 2 more villagers now in the queue for red. Scouts the gold in the back, only 2 on wood. A mill being produced now. As you know, the strategy for red has been to never take berries, boar, deer, ostriches, or any other source of meat besides sheep around the map. Farm being produced now for Gunslinger, and as we expect, more will be added onto wood so that they can produce their symmetrical farm structure around the mill. And now idols all over the place for Cilantro Ranger, as Cilantro Ranger has 6 idle villagers. 6. When will Cilantro Ranger realize what's happening? And there they go. Cilantro Ranger looks like ran out of food under their town center, grabs the elephant, and runs it back.
Timo.
Now let's check out if this boar is successful. Now, as you know, elephants, as they lose a vill to a boar, they do attack faster. Looks like trying to lure it just right into the middle, and there it goes. A perfect boar lure, however, did lose a villager. Villager now idle. Idle town center for green. It's a dead even villager count with just, I guess, 1 additional villager just being built. 14 villagers for Gunslinger and 13 for Cilantro. Gunslinger somehow has the villager lead. This is impressive. I have no idea how Gunslinger was able to pull out a villager lead. But there was a massive idle time for Cilantro Ranger in the beginning. And if Cilantro Ranger, known for his economy, struggles in this game economically because of idle TC time in the beginning, this could, I think, favor Gunslinger. Gunslinger being the one who I think has stronger production with military, produces military at a quicker rate and seems more prone to producing military. If Gunslinger is even with economy and has a stronger military, I think this game could go in favor of Gunslinger, depending on how much Gunslinger decides that he really wants to utilize this neutral advantage with the economy and push it into an aggression forward. 243 wood for Gunslinger. Cilantro Ranger with 618. Cilantro Ranger with only 15 villagers and is badly housed. Idols everywhere. Houses being built to compensate. This is a disaster, a full-on disaster. Farm being dropped and mill being dropped on the ostrich. This will be a really nice source of income. Lots of villagers in the queue for Cilantro Ranger. Opts not to go up to the next age, but opts to build more villagers. The villager count should even out, as Gunslinger has an idle TC currently and no vills in the queue. Perfect farm placement around the mill, as 1 more villager and 1 more farm will complete the really nice square that Cilantro Ranger or Gunslinger really likes to opt for. Nice lumber camp placement here from red on the right side of the map. Scouting on the front for Cilantro Ranger, and once again notices that there are no berries being taken and ostriches are not being gathered as well. House wall now on the side, as once again Cilantro Ranger opts for their normal build of trying to wall up their base. It looks like a really nice economy for Gunslinger, as well as for Cilantro Ranger. Cilantro Ranger, though, does have a lot of resources banked up, and check out the resources for Cilantro Ranger. 700 food already, though must say none on gold. Look at the gold banked up for Gunslinger here, and this is why one might question the move early to gold. Is that's a lot of gold. Do you really need that gold, or would you rather have those villagers working on another source of income, such as food or wood, since those are really the resources you really need in these earlier stages of the game? Feudal Age now coming in for Gunslinger, and let's just see, when is he going to drop that barracks? Gunslinger traditionally has built that barracks, started pumping out those militia, and let's just see exactly what strategy they go for. Now, this is interesting because Gunslinger can see that Cilantro Ranger is grabbing these berries. So maybe he will say, hey, these are a resource maybe that I could utilize. Now, what I really want to see is when the next villager will be created, because I would love to see this completed square. Advancing to Feudal Age now is Cilantro Ranger. And Gunslinger, having already arrived there, we're just going to see exactly what the next play will be for our red player. Gold income still steady, wood income steady as well, and one idle villager. Tasks, and here comes the barracks. Now I would like to see more villagers being queued up as well after wheelbarrow, but I do like the wheelbarrow upgrade. Once again, just really excited that red has an economic upgrade. And every single advantage that red can get economically will be massive in this game. As we can see that the villager advantage was short-lived for Gunslinger, as once again down by 6 villagers. But does have, to his credit, wheelbarrow. Economic upgrades, wheelbarrow, double bit axe, and horse collar all coming in for red at this point. And this is going to be huge, as double bit axe and horse collar are massive upgrades that you really need in the early stages of the game. Still scouting around. Barracks. Low food count for Gunslinger. Just really want to pay attention to where those farms, and there it is, the farms. The farms are here. And look at that nice farm placement. And foragers. Foragers. The first time we've seen foragers or any actually food source besides farms and sheep being taken for Gunslinger. And there's an audience member who says woo from the background. Impressive. Anything else to add, audience member? Never mind, it's a ghost. A ghost is in the room. A ghost says woo. Concerning, though, how idle these villagers have been. 6 villagers on the side for Cilantro Ranger. And the military man-at-arms coming in now for Gunslinger. It will be infantry. All onto gold for Cilantro Ranger. What will the play be for Cilantro Ranger? Ostriches being hunted down, as these ostriches were murdered completely by our green player here, who has no mercy for wildlife, unlike our red player here. However, our red player does have a massive score advantage, but check it out, look at this. Another villager in the back of the base of Gunslinger, presumably for, I would expect, outposts, as we've seen nothing else to say that outposts will not be going down. And there is the outpost. Outposts again. Scattered across the map is green, but the outpost is coming down again. Ostriches being taken on the front. These ostriches are the ostriches of Gunslinger, and they will be killed by Cilantro Ranger. Lumber camp. I do like to see lumber camp that's next to another wood patch. But here comes the outposts once again. 5 villagers collecting food on berries. Even though they have to walk far, at least they are taking a resource that's not just farms. Another mill being constructed in the back, or at least queued up to be built. And I suspect another small placement of farms for our red player. Lumber camps on the front for Cilantro Ranger. And Cilantro Ranger has yet to build a barracks, as an archery range now is coming down for our Mongol player. Double archery range. Gold shaft mining coming in for our red player. And once again, the excitement erupts from everyone, as they just cannot imagine that Another economic upgrade would be researched by our red player. Solid work, red. Villager population is there's only a 2 villager difference, a 1 villager difference between Gunslinger and Cilantro Ranger. And I think this is the closest the vill counts have been since the beginning of game 1, or the end of game 1, after Cilantro Ranger's villagers were slaughtered by Gunslinger in game 1.
Timo.
Resources, though, continuing to climb for Cilantro Ranger, as over 2,000 food, 450 gold, definitely has the resources to click up to the next age. However, look, Man-at-Arms taking out these villagers on the front for Cilantro Ranger, and Cilantro Ranger will have to get out of there. Drops off the food. And these villagers are idle, and these villagers are running. There they go. Perhaps a bit too greedy, trying to take the ostriches on the front of Cilantro Rangers or of Gunslinger's base, not anticipating that Cilantro or Gunslinger always goes for a nice feudal age military. And that spearman is down. Spearmen being queued up and sent forward. Villagers on the front being taken out by these man-at-arms. More man-at-arms coming forward. Spearmen being hunted down now. Spearmen and militia now being constructed for our green player. Archers being sent forward for our green player, as an archer range is built up in the back. A stable now being constructed for our green player as well. Archers killing this mill. Man-at-Arms taking out this barracks right here. And this game is interesting, as there is a feudal play in the middle of the game. Such aggression from these two players who we just assumed were just so passive. And look at the villager count. That is a 10 villager advantage for Gunslinger. Amazing stuff. A 12-3 villager military advantage. And if Gunslinger finds a way to push his military forward, I think that this could be the end. This could be the end of game 3, and this could be the end of the set right here. Continuing to attack this barracks, and this barracks will go down as these man-at-arms have bonus damage against buildings. Stable built up in the back, but nothing coming out from our Indians player. Our Indians player with lots of resources has not clicked up. I think the win condition for Cilantro Ranger is Cilantro Ranger needs to click up to Castle Age and start pumping out some cavalry. Man-at-Arms being researched, or Man-at-Arms coming in, and archers. I would like to see a blacksmith once again, but as we know, Gunslinger is very adverse to blacksmith and blacksmith upgrades. A scout being produced, we have a small feudal army being created, archers being massed up, and scouts for Cilantro Ranger. It will be scouts and archers. But against Man-at-Arms and a larger amount of archers, I just don't know if this is the play. No upgrades for Cilantro Ranger. No blacksmith built for Cilantro Ranger. And that mill will go down, as Gunslinger is just very adverse to having buildings from his opponent in his base. And here he comes forward. Oh, nope, he stops. Massive military. 13 military on the front of his base. 17 military total. And compared to the 6 military of Cilantro Ranger, he easily could push in and take out his opponent. So I'm just wondering, will Red decide that he has 10 villager advantage, military advantage, and that it's time to push? And what will be the play here? Massive advantage when it comes to military. 19 military, 18 all in the front, man-at-arms, and archers. Small armies still facing each other, and here comes the engagement from Cilantro Ranger, deciding that it's time to push in. Cilantro Ranger will throw away his army, as these archers, this army is way too much. Now the question is, will Cilantro Ranger run? What will Cilantro Ranger do? And he is running. Cilantro Ranger is running. Cilantro Ranger is grouping up his archers, and we'll pick up a man-at-arms. And Gunslinger will run back. Gunslinger, just push your army forward, Gunslinger, and you can take out everything that Cilantro Ranger has. I don't think that he can defend from this. Forward villagers now for red. Castle Age on the way in. What is the play now for Gunslinger? Bloodlines on the way in. I don't think we've seen Bloodlines yet. And I think the play will be Knights. Archer. Hooray from the audience member. Archer is continuing to be produced. Castle Age in now for green. And Castle Age is now reached for Gunslinger. Will Gunslinger take the initiative and run in? He has his scout right here. He can scout everything that's going on in Gunslinger's base. And you can see there's nothing going on. Blacksmith now up for Cilantro Ranger. Gunslinger with the blacksmith as well. Will Gunslinger commit to some upgrades for his military? I would love to see Fletching and Bodkin Arrow come in. Cilantro Ranger, trying to run in and be cheeky, quickly runs away with his military. And Gunslinger also runs away. Cilantro Ranger, being aggressive, runs right back in. Gunslinger taking kind of a bad fight on the hill. And it is still a 10 villager advantage for Gunslinger. Villagers queued up for Gunslinger. Military being massed up for Gunslinger. Archer armor is in for our green player. And as is Fletching. The outpost rush continues for green. Let's see when this military will decide to push. Scout goes down for green. Lumberjack's still hacking away at wood. I do like the expansion of this economy for red. I like how they are able to. He was able to expand out to the outer wood lines. Outpost being walled in for Cilantro Ranger. Really determined not to let this outpost be battered down. However, I do think there are holes on either side, and if Cilantro Ranger wanted to, just could run in and batter this outpost down. This has turned into another passive game, as villagers queued up now for Cilantro Ranger. Cilantro Ranger is down by 14 villagers, though. That is a massive difference. But more massive is the 23 to 6 military difference. No upgrades on crossbow. No upgrades on the longswords. But check it out. Double Bidax coming in for Cilantro Ranger. Stone Shaft Mining. But Husbandry now coming in for our red player. And just kind of wondering if Knights will be the play for him. Our red player is banking up some resources, over 1,200 food. With the market, probably could advance to Imperial Age. Cilantro Ranger, on the other hand, is in similar resource situation as Gunslinger is, but with less military. Probably feeling lucky that there's no attack now. Cilantro Ranger darting in once again, running away. And here comes some of the military for our red player. Will our red player crossbow now comes in for our green player. And our green player is cleaned up on the front. And our red player goes back once again. Just not willing to risk the lives of any of his men. Just really content to have a peaceful town where attacking just does not happen. These men are merely guardians. They are not attackers. They're men of peace. Employees that are just here and hired to guard this town. Green with another town center. Idle villagers. 5 idols. 2 idols is now transferring idols. So with no idle villagers. But a 10 villager advantage still for Gunslinger, despite the extra town center. Cilantro Ranger starting to bank up some gold. And look at the resources for Gunslinger. Gunslinger looks like they're very close to clicking up to the next age. However, they do need buildings for the next age. Double blacksmith coming in for Gunslinger, but no upgrades coming in. There's a monastery. Does need one more building. And there's the castle. Once the castle's completed, Gunslinger can advance to the next age. One villager building this castle. In about 2 minutes when this castle is done, Gunslinger can advance to the Imperial Age. This game's turning aggressive as, look on the side, Cilantro Ranger comes in and picks off villagers. And look at this massive military coming over. Gunslinger, or trying to defend from this aggression from Cilantro Ranger. Will Cilantro Ranger throw away his army or will he run? Cilantro Ranger looks like he is just content just to let his military die on the side. Monastery now completed. If a university comes in, or this castle, when this castle gets completed, the next age can be researched. Two more villagers will assist. And look at this. No, yes, they will assist. One villager will assist. Two villagers will assist. And this castle definitely, with a 23-8 military advantage, will go up. Crossbows still being massed on the front for Cilantro Ranger. Villager difference somehow is 12 villager difference, as somehow Gunslinger is turning this into a complete boom. A complete boom. Pro level boom, as Cilantro Ranger somehow has fallen behind in vills despite not being attacked or raided at all from this very passive play. Castle now in for our Mongol player. Now, our question is, Gunslinger invested a lot into food, building up more military, and look at this from the castle. Or look at this from the stable, rather. The play is 12 step lancers. Queuing up 12 step lancers at once may be great for pumping a military. However, an issue might be is that he now lacks the food to go to Imperial Age. Villagers being queued up. Monks being queued up. Step lancers still being queued up. What will these villagers be doing?
Hooray!
Hooray being yelled from the crowd as well. And look at the resources for Gunslinger. Gunslinger decides not to opt for advancing the next age. Instead starts researching Mangadai, and I think it's drill from the castle, as looks like in this sense Gunslinger is content to say, hey, I don't need Imperial Age, I just need a large Castle Age military. And you know what? 37 to 10 is the military count. If Gunslinger can somehow find a way to utilize this military, Gunslinger can probably overwhelm every single thing that Cilantro Ranger has. Now Cilantro Ranger is building houses, but there are holes in these walls, and I'm not sure if Cilantro Ranger is aware. Siege workshop being built. Skirmishers being built now for our green player. Elephant archers being produced by Cilantro Ranger. That castle is up. And look at the resources for Gunslinger. Will Gunslinger go to the next age? Or will Gunslinger decide to invest into more military? Nomads now being researched for Gunslinger. Nomads research is if houses are destroyed, then they don't count against your population space. Houses being produced in the back. A university going up right now. Relic being collected by Gunslinger. And the macro looks to be on point for Gunslinger. Everything except for attacking his opponent. Castle on the hill to protect himself. This is turning into a very defensive game. Military being produced. Skirmishers, crossbows, elephant archers on the front for Cilantro Ranger. Still nothing out of the town center. No villagers and no Imperial Age upgrade. No upgrades on the Step Lancers. No upgrades on the Mangadai. Double Blacksmith with nothing being researched out of it. Monk being attacked by 3 villagers by Cilantro Ranger. And he goes down. Villagers taking out the monastery from Cilantro Ranger, or from Gunslinger rather, and will there be a response? This castle may not be able to reach them without fletching. Mangadai being sent over. The resources are there to go to Imperial Age. Now, what will the play be? Obviously, as you can see, these arrows are all missing, as we don't have ballistics coming in for our green or our red player. No upgrades still researched out of the blacksmith. And look, a forward outpost. Watchtower even will be denied. Mangonel on the hill. Elephant archers. And it looks like our red player will be just content to retreat back or fight. These elephant archers are doing work. And here comes the Step Lancers. Let's see the battle, as this looks like a cleanup, as elephant archers do not appear to be doing very much damage at all to these Step Lancers. These skirmishers are doing nothing to these Step Lancers. And these Step Lancers will eventually take out these elephant archers, though these elephant archers are quite beefy. Mangadai now in the fray, and they should make short work of the elephant archers, who are lacking upgrades. Well, no, they do have upgrades actually. Elephant archers with Bodkin. Resources now for Cilantro Ranger. Cilantro Ranger does not have enough gold to click up to the next age. Is queuing up more skirmishers, however. Really determined to defend against those Mangadai, and looks to be walling up, realizing the direness of their situation. If Cilantro Ranger can hold, Elite Skirm will do really well against the Mangadai, but will die to Step Lancers. Wondering what the next play for Gunslinger will be. Mangadai still being created. 52 villagers. The vill counts are pretty even, 52 to 46. Elite Skirm now being added for a green player. Forward vills once again. It's a watchtower for green. Step Lancers and Mangadai. Handcart now being researched for our red player. Excited about that. And Imperial Age is queued up right behind Handcart. Exciting stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Exciting stuff. And look at this massive wall across the front of the entire map by green. Watchtowers, palisade walls, houses, just determined to create a massive wall across the entirety of the map. And this military is massive. Imperial Age on the way in, though upgrades are on the way in for green though. Red may have the numbers, but green has upgrades. However, skirmishers, elephant archers just do not seem to be the answer to these Step Lancers. And these Step Lancers are doing work. And then with the Mangadai behind. 2 longswordsmen, Step Lancers, Mangadai, really taking out these beefy elephant archers. This tower behind with Bodkin is doing work. However, the military advantage just seems way too large for Red here. And will this be the push that Red needs to take the game? What will Red do? Longswordsman going after the tower to take that out. Military Mangadai holding on the front, and Mangadai once again are retreating. Imperial Age is 60% of the way for red. Long swordsmen on the front, taking out villagers. Taking out skirmishers. Pikeman research now being researched by green. Probably to defend against those Mangadai and those Steppe Lancers. However, Scorpion and Ram coming in as our red player has decided, hey, I'm going to start building up the same buildings I built up last game and push forward. No upgrades. Still no upgrades on those Steppe Lancers. Mangadai completely unupgraded. But here's the Imperial Age. What can Gunslinger do with this Imperial Age tech? And the answer is a crossbowman, as a crossbowman's created. 4 crossbowmen queued up, more Steppe Lancers, Scorpions, and battering rams all queued up. Longswordsmen being queued up. And one must wonder if Gunslinger actually knows what these units are useful for. Once again, I would love to see our red player push forward. And this red player trying to run to another resource cannot get through. Has found a hole around this wall. Castle on the hill for Cilantro Ranger. This looks to be another aggressive post-Imperial Age game. Villager count still in favor of Gunslinger, as neither player has produced more villagers. The military count, though, is 63-2 in favor of Gunslinger. If Gunslinger were just to take half of that number and run through, this game could be over. However, Gunslinger just seems content to push this into post-Imperial Age. Not grab resources, but just sit back and let his villagers collect resources. Cilantro Ranger now creating more outposts. 119 population for Gunslinger. The next question is, will we see 200 population before something happens? Scorpions coming forward. I would love to see a unit, a siege unit that could take out buildings in this composition. Long two-handed swordsman coming in. And Elite Steppe Lancer and Arbalist being researched as well. Once again, would love to see fletching, would love to see bodkin arrow, but more importantly, I would love to see a trebuchet or a siege ram being utilized. There are rams in the back. Battering rams. Gunslinger seems content to keep his siege in the back to keep it protected. Though one might argue that siege could be a lot more useful if placed forward. Elite Steppe Lancer is in, and despite having 0 upgrades, these are still Elite Steppe Lancers against Arbalist and Elephant Archers. Should be quite a nice composition. Two-handed swordsmen are in. Once again, two-handed swordsmen, though unupgraded completely, are still two-handed swordsmen against skirmishers. Now let's see when the first wave of attack will come, when that siege will be moved forward, and when a trebuchet will be constructed. 126 population now for our red player. Looking at green, green has completely taken over the map. And green in the corner has successfully palisade walled around red's mining camp, forcing red to run and try to fight off some villagers. There is a Vil War going on in the back, and that might be distracting red and green both from doing anything else except for attacking each other's villagers in the back of green's base. The palisade wall around that mining camp continues to prevent more gold from being taken from that mining camp. Capped ram now being researched. And check it out. Is that Siege Ram? No, it's Capped Ram. Capped Ram being researched. Will Capped Ram be enough to push forward and finally end this game? Red is moving the goat, which won't get very far. And the goat is stopped. Hoping for some aggression soon, as a massive military is built up on the front. 72 military for red, and they have yet to push out. 32 military sitting just defensively for green. And here come some military units forward from Cilantro Ranger, probably just wondering exactly what is going on with red. Red's score is out of control. Red's an Imperial Age. Red has a massive military. What is red up to? Green just wants to know. Oh, green has sent his military over to pick off a 200 swordsman that strayed too far, and that arbalist will meet the same fate. Green skirmishers are upgraded. Green does have Bodkin. Green is marching forward. What will the response be from red? Red needs upgrades on his units badly. An armor upgrade on these Step Lancers would just make them so much stronger. But these skirmishers are doing work against this military that is completely unupgraded. Step Lancers now running over Champion in, and that will clean up the military completely. 74 military to 21. And this is a cleanup on the front. Cilantro Ranger has to realize that he needs Imperial Age, he needs upgrades, and he is in a position to advance. Look at that production. Pikemen being researched now. Pikemen coming out. And skirmishers on the front for Cilantro Ranger. Cilantro Ranger does have enough to defend for the moment, it seems, as Gunslinger is just content just to sit back. Expansion now with houses on the top side for green. Idle villagers over here for red. Capped ram in the corner. Bow saw coming in for green, as well as a second farming upgrade. Imperial Age being researched for green. Gunslinger is determined to let it be known, hey, I can defend my town, and I want no war with you. I just want to live here in peace. Idle villagers all over the place now being tasked, as Gunslinger, to his credit, is proficient in keeping his villagers working. More idle villagers in the top. Wonder where they will go next. Still, 0 blacksmith upgrades. Research for our Mongol player. Though he has the impressive looking army, his army still lacks upgrades and still does not trade too favorably even against Castle Age military that have upgrades. And that is a lot of pikemen for our Indian player. And one might wonder, if Gunslinger continues to play this passive, will Cilantro Ranger take this game? Pikemen continuing to be poured in from our green player. Upgrades, iron casting coming in, and squires being researched as well. And our red player is building a wonder in the back of the base. There's a wonder being completed by our Mongol player. Now I have to say, this game is being played under conquest, so there is not going to be actually possible to have a wonder victory. Though there is a wonder in the back for Gunslinger. Imperial Age now in for Cilantro Ranger. And the populations are starting to get closer as Gunslinger has 154 population. Cilantro Ranger with 117. And this looks like it may be a 200 population game before anything else happens as this wonder continues to go up. The next question is, does our red player here know what a wonder does? Or is he just building it because it's a wonder?
Oh.
Military being poured all over the place by our red player. As it is 97 military, 164 population, and pikemen now coming in for our red player. Pikemen running away from our red player. Camels coming in now for our green player. Wonder is about halfway done, and we will check its status soon. And look at this! Capped rams moving forward for Gunslinger. Capped rams. And here go the spearmen. Spearmen to their death as these Mangudai are just chewing up these spearmen who are just not attacking at all. And they are running back. And what is happening? No, the capped rams decide that more important than the enemy base is this group of walls and this one outpost. These need to go. And down they go. Checking out the status of this wonder. We have about 30 villagers building this wonder. It's now almost up. Halberdier research coming in for green. And one must wonder, can this game end? Camels on the side getting cleaned up by the massive military by our red player here. And our red player is getting closer and closer to that elusive 200 population mark. Wonder now. We'll watch it complete. And here we go. With only 300 more HP left on this wonder will go up. And a wonder is up. And nothing happens. Fighting on the front. Trebuchet on the front. As it looks like green is forcing an engagement here by taking out this castle from red. And red will run over to engage that army. Over here though, camels on the side, putting up a really nice fight against these unupgraded arborists and champion. And they will clean up. As red does need upgrades on his military. As nothing is being produced or created by either army at this point. Monk will be picked up as well. Monk again. And that is defended nicely by red. However, one must wonder, when is it time to push out? Idle villagers in the back for red. Villagers now being tasked to work after completing a wonder. Congratulations, a wonder is up. What does that give Cilantro? What does that give Gunslinger, however? Gunslinger tasking his villagers back to work, still with a villager advantage, having spent a lot of resources on that wonder. Archery range, barracks, more military buildings being produced. Massive amounts of military being built up for green, who does not seem able just to push into this massive military for red. Red has yet to add an upgrade in the blacksmith. And one has to wonder when red will add upgrades to the blacksmith.
Oh no!
Oh no, indeed. Map control firmly in the favor of Cilantro Ranger, and this looks like it could go 200 population game on either side at this rate. Military now being added in for green, and military being added in for red. Stable is being produced. Resources being mined out. With bare amounts of resources, this could be a game where both players actually run out of resources on the map before this game ends.
Oh no!
Oh no! Capped Ram sitting behind the castle. Castle being hacked away at by camels, and we'll see if that goes down at some point. More siege workshops being added by our Mongol player, and scorpions looks like to play. We would love to see a trebuchet, siege rams, and a push. And here, siege ram is being upgraded by our red player. Awesome. $162 population for red. Trebuchet is being added for red. It looks like this could be the final push. Wanted to make it dramatic and suspenseful, only wanted to drag it out an extra 45 minutes. Congratulations for red for realizing about Mongol siege. This could be the final push after these siege units are created. Many villagers running forward for red, determined to protect that castle from getting destroyed.
Sacher.
And here they go, military pushing out from Cilantro Ranger. Counter military going out for Gunslinger. And despite having no upgrades, no fletching, should be able to hold against skirmishers. Trebuchet somehow being deployed. And it looks like, once again, Cilantro Ranger is determined to push and destroy all of these buildings before moving out. As you know, these trebuchets will take down buildings quite quickly. 138 population for green as populations are catching up. But over 100 military for red. As long as red can concentrate his military in one spot, despite having no upgrades, should be able to take this game. Battering ram is ejected for green. And here we go as armies retreat again. Halberdiers just tearing through this military that has 0 upgrades for green. Gunslinger now running low on gold. And still no murder holes, so these will stay. And somehow green is on the offensive, as his military seems to be superior to that as red's, as these unupgraded trash units seem to be actually taking better engagements against these gold units that red has. Man-at-Arms being researched for green. And this game continues. Cilantro Ranger score is now catching up. Cilantro Ranger population is 70 behind, but still is trading trash units versus gold units, and gold units can be very valuable at this point. Mangonels now being researched by Gunslinger, probably unsure of what the tech tree is. Trebuchet is now taking out important production buildings from Cilantro Ranger. And now Gunslinger is making the mistake of sending soldiers in one at a time, kind of like Cilantro Ranger was in the other games. Barracks is going down on the front for Cilantro Ranger, as he will lose 2 of his barracks and eventually a 3rd. But he does have a bunch of barracks out on the map, and should have no shortage of supply of barracks. Building up multiple buildings to queue up units is a really nice strategy. But that barracks will go down. Multiple units running forward. Long swords being created now. And these long swords will do really nicely against the military that Cilantro Ranger or Gunslinger has left on the map. Has a lot of military, but has not massed them up together, as most of his military is sitting in the back of his base. Needs to bring his military forward. Castle being built by our Indians player here. And that's a cleanup by Cilantro Ranger, as Cilantro Ranger continues to force fights underneath this castle. Camels maybe take out that castle on the side. And now let's see what Gunslinger decides to do with this massive ball of military that's sitting in the back of his base. Question is, when will this game end? Who will actually make a push that can actually end this game? It's double the population for Gunslinger, yet Gunslinger seems unwilling to push forward. As look, we have Monastery coming down for on the front for Gunslinger, as well as another barracks. Trebuchet is being packed up and fired. And down goes the monastery that was just put up by Cilantro Ranger. Another monastery being put up. Cilantro Ranger is mocking Gunslinger. And he's repairing the monastery. And the monastery once again goes down. Another monastery being set up. And the monastery goes down. Cilantro Ranger just very determined to put a monastery in that one exact same spot. Cilantro Ranger deleting some buildings around his castle. And Cilantro Ranger building the monastery towards the back. Now we do have a camel who has cleaned up a few villagers from Gunslinger in the back. So I just wonder, if Gunslinger does not make a push soon, will Cilantro Ranger just decide that he can just run around, destroy Gunslinger's economy, and take the game this way? Just want to look at the fog of war real quick from what Gunslinger can see, and this is his fog of war. He still has not scouted that castle on the front. Skirmishers now being created by Gunslinger, as these are feudal age skirmishers, as they have 0 upgrades to attack. They're basically worthless. Monk upgrades now being taken in, redemption in. And here go the pikemen. Here comes the military for Gunslinger. As he finally decided, hey, I've built about a 50 military advantage here in the back. Maybe it's time to move it forward. Villagers going down on the right-hand side for Gunslinger. As this pikeman raid is, or this halberdier raid is doing work. Halberdier raid having successfully cut off a lot of villagers. It's now a 13 village advantage for Cilantro Ranger. And he is walking a quarter of the map, actually a quarter of the map, just to grab wood and return it to his lumber camp. Here comes the massive military. It's 168 population. And Gunslinger has built up a massive military. And down goes that camel to those heavy scorpions. Actually, heavy scorpions may be the military unit that provides the most punch to other soldiers, as every other soldier he has on the map is unupgraded, with 0 upgrades from the blacksmith. Forward archery range goes down. Checking on what Green can see. Green can see everything. Green understands about the military. Green understands that he's up against an opponent that has a strong military, but probably a pretty weak economy, and has monks, and is working his monks around. And what is the play here from Green? Green is throwing some monks into a massive military. Just a massive military here. And here comes the fight. And this fight is once again over, as Gunslinger does run it over. But can Gunslinger push this fight into an advantage, as he is content to continue to run back to his base? A converted mangonel by a monk, and it's promptly killed. 162 population for Red, and Red is content just to sit at his base and let the attacks come to him. And here come the trebuchets on this castle. This castle goes down. I don't think that there's anything like there was for the past hour and a half stopping Red from just pushing in. And this castle will go down. And here it goes. Units not streaming forward. Units once again running back. Trebuchets on their way back. Units not streaming forward. Mangonel on the hill. Villagers running back, and once again Gunslinger refusing to push forward. Cilantro Ranger decidingly wanting to force fights, but Gunslinger, despite having the massive military advantage, determined to thwart them. Redemption and monk upgrades in for Cilantro Ranger. Nothing being researched or created by Gunslinger. Military now being pushed out a little bit further for Red here. Wondering when Red will decide, hey, enough's enough. It's time to end this. And here it comes, the push. The most exciting moment of my life in the past 2 hours is this push by Red as Red comes in and takes a massive engagement on the front. Here come the Siege Rams. Here come the champions. Here come the Step Lancers. Here come about 200 units with no upgrades on them, determined to take out every single building that Green has. And trebuchets moving forward. People shouting hurrah from all corners of the world. And Siege Rams taking out buildings. Trebuchets taking out buildings. Monastery going down. Barracks going down. And checking out, this is the GG moment that we've all been waiting for a long time. This game is over. I expect the GG to be coming in at any moment now. And this game should be over, as here come the trebuchets forward, and they will be taking out naturally buildings one by one. Production buildings down, nothing's being produced. I cannot see this game lasting more than a minute or two, tops. Town center will be focused down next. Barracks being focused down, town bell is rung, castle in the back. Here come the trebuchets, launching their arrows. Those champions, though they are unupgraded, will take down this castle, and once this town center goes down, I cannot see Cilantro Rangers staying in the game much longer. It is a 50 population to 119 population difference. Here comes the push. Here comes the retreat. Siege Rams taking out production buildings to the south. Trebuchets moving forward. And we expect the GG to come in at any moment. Here come the trebuchets to take out that last castle. And they're on top of the hill, taking down this castle and just waiting. When will the GG come in? And there it is. The GG is called. The game is over. Much to the chagrin of people who wanted this to be a 24-hour stream, this game has finally ended. So, just looking around the map, this was a best of 3. Congratulations to Gunslinger for moving forward to the next round. I'm just going to quickly move over to the stats. You guys can check them out. Return